Taking Gleivec has helped me do things that I never thought I would be able to do.
There's absolutely no doubt in my mind I wouldn't be alive without Gleivec. No doubt whatsoever.
What Gleivec has done for CML has taken away the fear.
Gleivec is a great treatment for this cancer with very minimal side effects.
Cancer is just such an ugly word, but with this drug, it's a manageable disease.
Gleivec for me is a gift of life. It has given me the opportunity to do things that I really like.
Today, Gleivec arrives as a remarkable new medicine for people with CML.
A major breakthrough in the treatment of cancer.
Amazing stories now from the world of medicine.
Brand new and extremely exciting approach to cancer. There's never been any question this drug works and it saves lives.
The wave of the future in fighting cancer.
This drug, I think, opens the door to the future of what cancer therapy can really look like when we have the right drug and the right target.
We're now 2010 and celebrating 10-year anniversary of Gleivec, and it sounds almost unreal to me that 10 years have passed since we were able to really bring that breakthrough drug to patients who were also pushed, I would say, pushed by patients. We got letters, I got signatures, I think thousands did sign the petition, and I must say they really opened doors.
At the time of diagnosis, my white cell count was 380,000, and the normal range is around 8,000. So it was way high, and I'm sure they saw that right off the bat when I got my blood. When I got home, I remember I had an old medical book, and I quickly looked it up, and it had said that it was a rare form of leukemia and mean survival was 3 to 5 years. I guess maybe a year into my disease, I found a support group on the internet, and that changed everything entirely.
One of the most interesting, unappreciated aspects of the Gleivec story is that the Gleivec clinical trials intersected the rise of the internet, and it really turned patients from passive participants in the medical field to being active participants to get that access to information.
As sick as I was, I knew there's almost like I could only see one path, and that was to get on this drug. The first person I thought of emailing was Dr. Drucker.
In 1999, I was receiving hundreds of emails a day from CML patients, and Susan stuck out for a number of reasons. And it was absolutely clear to me that this was a patient I thought we could help. And as we talked about strategies, she said, well, what if we started a petition? Within 3 months, she had 4,000 signatures that landed on the desk of the CEO at Novartis asking for greater access to clinical trials.
The phone was ringing, it was a long-distance call, and I answered it, and it was my birthday. It was November 2nd, and it was Dr. Drucker. I just got off the phone with Novartis. He goes, they received everything, and they're doing something about it, and as of now, they're writing back to you, stating that 18 new trial centers were going to open up in the US, and that they were applying for FDA fast track approval. So I was like, oh my God, I'm like, this is the greatest birthday present ever. Thank you.
And then it was a question about how would we produce as much as we had to produce for the clinical trials to get this done as quickly as possible. How could we move to then have enough drug available for the commercialization? And our colleagues in manufacturing in Ireland notably did work 7 days a week and in several shifts in order to make this possible. A huge engagement, and very willingly they engaged.
On February 14, 2001, I started taking Gleivec. from that day became my second birthday, because my life has completely changed from the day I started Galibek. Galibek for me is a gift of life. It has given me the opportunity to do things that I really like, to change my lifestyle completely, to study, do my master's in law, and now attend a full law school and become a lawyer. It has given me the chance to speak about things and talk about all the good things that happened to me in the last 10 years due to the drug Galibek.
I was first diagnosed with CML, chronic myeloid leukemia, in October 1992. I had a bone marrow transplant 3 months after I was diagnosed. For the next 11 years, I went along believing that I was completely cured of leukemia. Unfortunately, in year 11, I felt unwell. I went to my local doctor and had a blood test, and that blood test showed that leukemia had returned. My oncologist mentioned Galibek, and he was very excited about the fact that that was available for everyone now. I felt it was almost impossible that after all I'd been through the first time, that a pill could make me well again. My life returned to normal, and Galibek became just part of my life, and I began to see a future again.
I was diagnosed in November of 2001. Immediately, I thought the worst, but within maybe 48 hours, we heard about Galibek, and what could have been, the most devastating time in my life turned out to be a very hopeful time in my life very quickly. So in 2006, we made the decision to try to have a baby. 7 days post-conception, we found out through the fertility doctor that I was pregnant and stopped taking Galibek. And that was scary. That was a scarier day than I thought, because it's my safety net. So now we have 2 children and a life that's absolutely normal and wonderful, and a life that I never could have dreamed I would have back in 2001 when I heard the words, "You have cancer."
I was diagnosed with GIST 10 years ago, and I went through chemotherapy, and after going through a very strong chemotherapy, my oncologist mentioned that I had something called c-KIT, and she knew about a clinical trial that was going on at Fox Chase, and there were only 30 spots available. And my husband got on the internet and he spoke to Dr. Von Mering at Fox Chase, and I was number 29 out of 30 to get on this clinical trial. Without taking Galibek, I really don't think I would have been here, because there were just so many operations I could have. I was at my last point when Galibek came along in my life.
The recent approval for Galibek, I think, will probably drastically change the way that patients feel when they first find out they have GIST. For me, finding out that I had it and then not knowing where to go, so many other people aren't going to have to go through that. Now they know. I mean, there's a plan of action that they can take. They can look down and say, okay, I had surgery, I have GIST, I'm going to take Galibek. And it starts them, I think, on the right path, so that those next 5 years aren't as scary. There's not as much they have to worry about. They just have to focus on, learning how to deal with it, which I think is probably the hardest part about cancer in the first place.
Galibek is great, it's a miracle, but it's not the final solution for CML. I feel and I believe truly that everybody who is connected to finding treatment options for CML has to concentrate now on one target, and that is to find a future for this disease, for CML, which will allow patients to live normal life and be happy with their families and not have to take any drug in the future.